The disenfranchisement of felons should be outlawed. There's no reason to rob a person of their fundamental rights of citizenship. Any American who commits a crime is still an American. Felon disenfranchisement is a relic of our nation's racist past and does not belong in the modern era. Further, the way felon disenfranchisement steals African American voting power and distorts democracy should never be tolerated. Ex-convicts are still Americans, and they deserve to be treated like it after they've paid their debt to society. Even prisoners should retain their voting rights. There is a common practice called prison gerrymandering, where prison populations are used to create district boundaries, even though prisoners can't vote. What ends up happening is that prisons filled with incarcerated minorities, which sit in white rural areas, elect white rural representatives who feel no need whatsoever to represent them. Then, after a census is taken and it's time to draw new districts, prison populations are treated like regular voters. So, for example, in a town called Anamusa, Iowa, the city council is divided into 4 districts of about 1,400 people each. In 2008, Ward 2 included 1,300 prison inmates who can't vote, giving the 58 non-prisoners 25 times more voting power than the residents in the other 3 wards. This disparity was so bad that a backhoe operator named Danny Young was voted onto the city council by 2 people. He wasn't even running. His wife and his neighbor just decided to elect him, and he was in. When asked whether he felt like he had to represent the 1,300 prison inmates in his ward, Young answered, "Do I consider them my constituents? They don't vote, so I guess not really." I mention this not to single out Danny Young. His perspective is widely shared by many in the political class. Do you suppose our representatives might feel differently if prisoners could vote? If millions of prison inmates could vote, it seems to me that appalling prison conditions might be less common in the US. One imagines that solitary confinement, considered torture by the United Nations, would probably not happen in most prisons. And perhaps prison rape might be treated like a serious problem and not some hilarious punchline. Have you ever stopped to think how sad it is that prison rape is one of the most common things people associate with incarceration in this country? It's not like that everywhere else. Keeping prisoners disenfranchised could certainly have something to do with that. Prisoner disenfranchisement is a perfect microcosm of what we are considering here. Millions of American citizens cut out of the political process with no voice in public affairs. Their interests are ignored. Serious problems within the prison system never get addressed. They are completely powerless. It's bad enough that our country does this to more than 2 million citizens in the prison system. Now, consider that millions more are disenfranchised after they get out of prison. There's little regard for the problems that ex-convicts face: deliberate prejudicial treatment sanctioned by the state, homelessness, loss of parental custody. The list goes on and on. Then let us expand our focus even further to citizens disenfranchised not because of any past sins against the justice system, but because they are poor or because they are African American or Latino. Deliberate efforts to make voter registration or access to polling places as difficult as possible has the same end result as the disenfranchisement of prisoners. Those who are intentionally trimmed out of our political system disappear. Their concerns mean little. Millions of American citizens are struggling to survive, yet the priority of the political class remains tax cuts for the rich and corporations. It's not hard to come up with changes you might like to make to our political system once you know what's really happening out there. If you love America, you should love the people of America. We are the reason this nation exists. Without us, this nation does not exist. It is in our minds, and it is what we make of it. I think we can make it better. Neither major political party wants us to do that. They don't even want us to know that we have the power to do that. But we do. The truth is that everything is on the table. We can change whatever we want. We have incredible power over our destiny and our nation's destiny. What are we going to do with that power? Are we going to look out for one another? Or are we going to keep fighting one another? I know what I want. I want good things. For us. We deserve it. We are the strength, the heart, the soul of this nation. We should be helping one another. Let's make them pay.